Here we go.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
How are
So
you?
I've not talked to you before. It's lovely to actually see you in real life. And yeah, thank you for everything that you do. I'm also in autistic complete overwhelm, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be years. I'm probably going to spew out a load of thoughts and bollocks.
I
I
think
But
know.
I think
you get ready. So this has been a roller coaster. Um, I was really struggling through last summer, and I got to the point where I just surrendered. And then Angelo turned up on my YouTube feed, and the second video I watched, I had a surprise, huge brain pop. And then there were more after that. It happened really fast, so a lot, one after the other. And I didn't even know what non-duality was. My background has been in kind of Christian mysticism and Kabbalah, and so I did not expect that to happen. This has been a huge shock. So I had two months of bliss, peace, just complete zen, and then the ego came back with Japanese fucking weaponry. And so I started all the shadow work, I started psychosynthesis and craniosacral therapy, and I've been having EMDR, which has been amazing. And I started fetters, so I did 1 and 2, and there's still a load of doubt, so I'm kind of hanging around, just watching that before I move on. Yeah, and then I was lucky enough to win a circling day with Angelo a couple of weeks ago, so I did that, and again that was huge. So much has shifted. And then I had a retreat, so I went on an in-person retreat again with him, and obviously it's just it's a huge, it's a lot, it's all happening, as he would say, like, I am definitely in the lion's mouth. So much of what I used to care about has just gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know anything anymore. And I know that, in some ways, asking questions is a complete waste of time. I know that I can't do anything. I know there is no I know there is no control. But what's happening a lot at the moment, the thoughts are, I have a seeming decision that I have to make. I've been seeing this therapist. He does psychosynthesis and craniosacral therapy. It's a lot of money which could be maybe better spent seeing a non-dual teacher. It doesn't feel like it's particularly useful at the moment. He's got a Buddhist background, so I can talk about what's happening to me and kind of a spiritual process to some extent. But, a lot of what I say, he will then say, oh, it's your delusions and your stories. So there's a lot of the issues that I'm having with him as a therapist is because of the autism. That I don't understand the rules. I don't understand what I can or cannot say. So I'm just really questioning. Like, I've already watched myself kind of, if I continue from, I've been to see him today, if I continue seeing this person, I'm going to have to change a day. I've already watched myself write the new appointment time in my diary. But still the thoughts are going on. A lot of it is to do with it's pushing a lot of buttons about money, about making a responsible decision, making an efficient use of my time, wanting autistically to plan what's going to happen for the future, like every day, trying to stick to a rigid schedule. So yeah, this human decision is just pushing a load of buttons. So I think really the question is like, how useful is I know the craniosacral therapy is helping, but I don't need to see him for that. How useful is like a talking therapy for me at this point?
Okay, there's so many things in what you say, and what is your final question is not the most important thing to talk about, actually. So if you would be okay with us not replying your question, because there's so many other stuff that is much more interesting to talk about. Whether talk therapy is sufficient or not depends on the person and the time of it's all about timing and the person. We don't need to talk about that. Yeah. What is more interesting is that you said that you kind of like you had that awakening. You went to Angelo to his retreat or saw his video online. Yeah, saw his video online. And then there was that opening where you really just understood that there is no separate self anywhere. And now you are in a position where there's lots of selfing happening. And you also said that you had that feeling that you don't know yourself anymore, that things that you really like, it's not interesting anymore. And you are kind of like floating in that confusing space where you don't know where to land, and you don't know what you want or what you don't want. And it's just confusion. And what it sounds to me is that you're trying to find a solution with a starting point and a person that is not here anymore. The person that you were a year ago would find solutions the way that you're trying to find solutions now. And it's a mismatch. It doesn't fit anymore. Because once you have really understood that whatever you perceive as reality, it's just your perception. It's not real. It's not truth. It's just your perception. That kind of makes us humble, and it makes us mute in a way that you cannot lean on any previous experience you have had to find your solution, because it's not you know that would not find anything useful for you. So if you come back to the initial understanding that you had, that whatever is your perception is just your perception, that means that you right now have to breathe. You have to come back to your body right now, because your mind is creating a scenario as if you can see into the future, as if you can think your way out of if it's a good idea to go to the therapist or not. You can't. The only thing that is available for you right now is, how does it feel to be Kate in your body right now?
It feels like I just feel like a whirlwind of energy. I feel like
exactly. Feel your feet. Feel
I
your
can
feet.
feel my feet.
Feel your feet. And breathe deeply. Make an inhalation. And on the top, breathe even more. Yeah. Now you're here. And in this moment right now, where you're sitting with us and you right now just feel your feet. In this moment, there's nothing that is missing. There's nothing about you that needs to be different. You're not lacking in any way. You cannot become anything better than what is right now, because what is right now is the only thing that is presenting itself. So if you keep breathing and you keep coming back to what is alive in you right now. For example, you might feel, I can see the way that you breathe, that you feel uneasy around the solar plexus. So I would like for you to keep relaxing your shoulders. Breathe into that uncomfortableness that you have in the solar plexus. And then just notice, what does that do? Breathing into that, what happens in your body? Not so much in your mind, and not so much in the feelings and in the emotions and all of that come up, because that is just another thought. Feelings and emotions are thoughts. So what is arising in your body right now when you just sit here and breathe? Breathe into the solar plexus. And you're just present right now. What happens in your body?
Well, everything is still really swimmy. I want to say everything is still really turbulent, but that's just a thought.
Yeah, because turbulent is in a comparison with something that is not turbulent. So what does turbulent actually mean? How does that feel, turbulent?
It's just very energetic.
Yeah, is that energy, is it okay for it to be there? Because when you say it's very energetic and the way you hold your hands, it's almost as if you're pushing it away. It's too much, it's too much. But that is a starting point. That is an idea that energy is too much. But instead of like pushing it away, could you kind of like just allow that energy to be there? Can that energy be there? Can you be in a body where that is present? Not
But it can, but it means that I can't make the most out of our conversation because everything is just so overwhelming.
But exactly. So you think that you need to be anything different than what you are right now to make the most out of the conversation.
Autistic. I've been taught my whole life that I need to be somebody different.
I know, there's a fucking
I've
lie.
had that drummed into me.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
I've spent my entire life trying to craft a persona that is acceptable to people around me. And
it's
it was bullshit.
Exhausting. It is bullshit. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And I completely understand. That was told to you by people who did not understand how it was to be Kate. And nobody understands that. Nobody understands that. Only you do. You're the only one who can be you. And you can be you magnificently if you stop having all the masks on. When you believe that the energy you feel is too much, it's like Kate is too much. Be here instead, receive that. What does it actually mean to be Kate? What does that actually feel like? if there is no judgment, but if there's no judgment, if whatever is showing up is okay, there is no judgment, whatever is showing up is okay. How does it feel to be you then?
Thoughts, yeah, but.
Is that okay? Can those thoughts come up? Can you can you meet every thought and saying, thank you very much, you protected me so far. Right now, I'm just allowing Kate to be Kate. I am magnificently autistic. There's nothing about me that needs to change. There's nothing that needs to be different. I am like I am. I've been taught to put on a mask. Do I really have to? Because you're living your life as if you can be better than who you are.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's what the whole spiritual search was all about.
I know. It's what Todd writes about in his book, where he talks about that the spiritual search, it's still the legal and allowed type of suicide. The one I am needs to go, something better needs to arrive.
Yeah, suicide by non-duality.
Yeah, exactly. What we're telling you is that is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. What will happen is that you start to open up and accept what is. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're lovely the way that you are. Be you. Allow you to be the way that you are. And when you feel contract in the solar plexus, because I can see on you, it's back.
It's back, yeah.
Yeah. Breathe into that. And then calm yourself. Calm your inner child. Tell yourself, it's okay. It's okay. I'm autistic and I love you. Do you hold against me that I'm an autist?
No.
No. Why do you hold against you that you are? Why are you so fucking special that you need to be different? If it's okay.
I'm still trying to get validation and connection.
It will not happen. You will never find that outside of you. You will never find validation and connection outside of you. Because when you find it outside of you, if you don't have it on the inside, you do not recognize it when you find it on the outside.
And that's not a uniquely autistic thing.
No,
that's something
that's
we hear
for everyone.
from everybody across the board.
But you need validation and connection with you. You need to love you. Otherwise, when somebody else tells it to you, you don't believe it. I see you and I hear you. But if you do not hear and see you, you don't even know what I talk about when I say that I see you and hear you. You will have an idea, yeah, but you don't really know me. That is you talking to you. So even when you receive validation, 100% validation, no judgment, you can't even receive it because you are full of judgment. You need to absolutely unconditionally accept anything that comes up. And that is not only for people on the spectrum, this is for everyone. You need to absolutely unconditionally accept everything about you, anything that comes up. And then you think, oh, about the neighbor, love that. Oh, wow, where did that come from, sweetheart? Love that without judging it. You're not condoning, you're just accepting what is coming up, what is here. It's a bundle of causes and conditions that has been shaped ever since you were in the womb. Being on your case about you being the way that you are is unfair.
I don't know how to love me.
Oh,
sorry, your mic is way down.
Your sound went.
I said I don't know how to love me.
I understand. You start by one thing at a time. You start by loving the next thought. I can't do that. Okay, I hear you. I love that. Yeah.
Can you start? Obviously, I don't know enough about your history, but if love seems like too much of a jump to start with, can you start with acceptance first? Accepting that this next thought is here. Accepting that whatever you see in the mirror or see in your mind's eye is the way that it is. Can you first have an acknowledgement that it is, and then accept that it is, and then start to make that bridge to actually loving it? It might help to baby step your way towards that. Because if you're at odds with you being the way that you are in this moment and everything being the way that it is in this moment, then it's very hard to love that because you're already at war with it. So
yeah, I'm just a ball of resistance. I'm just like I just feel, the knot in my stomach is just like a huge no.
Yeah. The one of the most important things when we feel resistance is not to resist the resistance.
Yeah.
Because that just becomes an issue and an issue and an issue and an issue. Instead, when you feel the resistance, can you allow the resistance to be there? I have a ball of resistance in my stomach, cannot be in a body where I feel this resistance. So I'm stopping, I'm ending the judgment. I'm ending the wanting to be different. I'm just allowing the resistance to be here. You don't need to love the situation. You don't need to love yourself, but you stop resisting the resistance. And then you just sit with that resistance. What does that mean? How does it feel to be in resistance? There's just a full stop for everything on all end. I don't want to speak with anyone. I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything. There's just resistance to everything. Okay, can you be with that? That is, for example, I have come to learn my autism, and I'm at a point now where I love my tism. I love my tism. I think it's a great tism I have. But it's also that I know that when I'm overwhelmed, then there are different things I can do to support myself. Now, when we have workers in the house and all the noise and everything is different. I mean, the fridge is in a different place in the kitchen than it's supposed to be. Have you any idea how stressful that is? So what I do is I shut down all the things that I know is overwhelmed. And that's, for example, mixing food that is of different consistency. So I don't do that because just having that experience with different consistencies in my mouth, it's way too overwhelming. So I don't. It's really just instead of being like, oh, don't be silly, Billy. You can eat that curry and it's delicious and you like it. Way too many flavors. Not happening. There needs to be one flavor, one consistency, and that's all I can deal with. As long as the fridge is in the wrong position, I cannot eat anything but potatoes. So it's that really just acknowledging what is here without fighting it. It's okay. It's okay.
You ended by asking about whether talk therapy would be useful or not. And again, I second Pernilla's opinion that, we don't know for sure for you what's best. But on that kind of front, what I would recommend is questioning all of these thoughts and positions that you have about the way that things are and the way that they should be. And that's something where you can effectively be your own therapist. You just have to notice that these are going on when they happen. That I am a ball of resistance. Okay, but ask into that then too. Again, not to force the going against the resistance, but what am I resisting right now? See if you can take things from the abstract of just it's one giant no to see if you can figure out, well, what am I actually resisting? Is there something specific here which I have maybe not been aware of, or maybe just haven't named, or it could also be that there is tension in the body. And so the idea of resistance and no is arising in response to that. A lot of times what we have are kind of secondary assumptions about what we're experiencing based on relatively unrelated things that are going on in the body or things in the mind. So becoming more and more aware of that. And again, I don't know your background as much. You said that you came from sort of a Christian mysticism, but hadn't been aware of non-duality. So I don't know. Have you done a lot of meditation or inquiry or anything like that before?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, you're every now and then your microphone goes way down and I can't hear you.
It's a cheap laptop, sorry. Yeah, I've done lots of meditation and
So are you pretty aware of when you're thinking and that you're thinking and that you're not having identification with those thoughts in the moment, so you can kind of be sort of have some sort of detachment and perspective on those thoughts?
yeah, I think it's I used to be very thought orientated. I used to be in my head an awful lot. But I've done enough meditation over the last few months to know that my thoughts are not helpful. That it's absolutely pointless thinking about anything.
Yeah.
But
But it's also because we have this tendency to go like, okay, but that's just ego. I don't need the ego, out with the bathwater. And that is not helpful either, because that is giving a power to thoughts that thoughts don't have. Do you know what I mean? That if you have that, but I'm not giving any credence to thoughts at all, so I'm just not noticing them at all. That is giving them a power which they don't have. Like you can, yeah.
well, no, go ahead.
You can be curious and inquisitive to a thought. You don't have to believe it, but you can be inquisitive to what is that thought that you have. For example, the contraction you keep having in the solar plexus, right? Where you don't breathe.
Yeah.
What is that contraction telling you? Is it telling you there's something wrong with you, or this situation is dangerous, or what is that contraction trying to tell you? And if you have that, I have no idea. I don't know. Then next time you feel the contraction, then you just kind to it. Okay, I just noticed I'm not breathing. There we go. Now I'm breathing, and now it's slowly starting to evaporate, that contraction. And at some point, you might know what that contraction is about. Oh, yeah, it's every time I feel shameful or guilty or fearful. Then the contraction happens. Okay, how would I meet another person that is shameful, guilty, or fearful? With lots of love and compassion. Okay, can I feel love and compassion to me every time I feel this contraction? So you just slowly be your own therapist, slowly move the underlying beliefs that you have about that contraction. And I want to say that in the curriculum, in the second fetter and the fourth and the fifth, you have all the material you need to deal with all this.
I would love to have you come back and speak another time in more depth. There was so much there, and
there's so many more things
right.
we want to talk about.
It's the last thing though that I feel is worth mentioning. This is a little bit more general kind of thing, but especially when you're new to or newish to the non-duality world and all of this, be very careful about taking on any beliefs. And I mean that in you started by, presumably you felt like you were Kate and a self and all of that for most of the years of your life. And then you watched an Angelo video and had some experiences which then shifted. So now you don't know who to be anymore, but what I heard when you first said that is that it sounds like there's now a clinging to the non-dual idea that Kate doesn't exist and that the self doesn't exist. But yet it still feels like Kate and the self are still there, sometimes, at least. Oh, sorry, your mic again.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
And so if there's a discrepancy there, if you take on the belief that either the ego is bad or it doesn't really exist or Kate doesn't really exist and I shouldn't be having this or I should be either in one camp or the other and just pick a side, all of those are beliefs that have nothing to do with the reality of this moment. All you have to do is recognize, oh, isn't that funny? That selfing mechanism is running again. Oh, yeah, it's been there for however many decades you've been alive. Yeah, okay, that's on. Isn't it interesting that it feels like there's a self here, but it didn't feel like that yesterday? That's a curious phenomenon. It's not a fault of yours. It's not that one is good, the other is bad, that you've done something wrong, that you've done something right. None of that makes any sense. This is just a change in processing, which is kind of a spectrum of itself of different, variations of self-awareness to self-identification, identification with thought, to having a feeling of like your narrative self versus not having your feeling of narrative self. And there's a long spectrum of how much of that you feel at any given moment. And it's not that any of those are inherently good or bad, right or wrong, more or less spiritually evolved. It's our purpose here is to just become aware that none of these are inherently true. That when the feeling of self is there, that is not inherently a true fundamental fact that Kate exists the way I think she exists right now. And when that feeling of Kate is gone, the idea that Kate doesn't exist and the self doesn't exist and all of that is not inherently true either, because it did in a way 5 minutes before, and it might again 5 minutes later. What is true right now when you're not feeling it is that that feeling of Kate does not always exist. That belief in a Kate, that self narrative about my whole life does not always hold true. Sometimes it falls away. Instead of taking on any new beliefs that you should be on some stairway path that's, bringing you someplace and you're failing if you don't succeed in a certain thing, keep coming back to what's here and just remain curious about what you're feeling. If thoughts are there and they're believed in, just notice that thoughts are there and they're believed in, and notice that they seem sticky for some reason. Keeping that kind of meta awareness about it so that you're aware when it's happening is itself keeping you from getting completely mired in the delusion. So maintaining that kind of mindful stature, even when the feeling of Kate is completely on, is still keeping you from being in the, absolutely mired in the suffering of believing the full impact of the story.
Yeah, I can't believe the story anymore.
Good. So, but just be very aware if any of that is also intellectual.
Yeah.
If it still feels like the story is true, if you have an emotional resonance with the story, we also don't want to bypass and deny that. It's okay to recognize that there is still some emotional binding there. There is still something, even if there is a kind of awareness that is somewhat detached enough that I'm aware that I'm not fully that story, not fully that self, but if there's an emotional attachment to it, something that really comes up and feels very sticky about it,
It's okay.
It's okay. And it's still worth investigating and working with and not just bypassing away.
And also, just because you feel it and you feel identified doesn't mean that it's real or true.
Right.
You're not, stepping in and out of existence like that. It's not like suddenly there's a Kate and then there's not a Kate. That feeling that you're identifying, it's just a feeling. It's just a thought. It's okay. We would love for you to come back so we can, pick up again. And if you work with this and keep rewatching this over and over, then you will definitely, have lots of experience, and we would love to hear from you next time. Next time is on the 7th, where it's actually also about this at POK, and then it's the 23rd of September. So we would love to meet you there as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being brave and jumping into this. Thank you.
It's really been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
We have created a course of our first fetter material. This course will walk you step by step through all of the ways in which identification is created and selfing happens. If you've been struggling to see through the self-structure or have that first awakening shift, this course contains hundreds of tools to help you discover the selfing mechanisms when they're happening, and then see through the illusion of identification that are created. Along with over 14 hours of videos, this $49 course contains a full book worth of summaries, extrapolations on the videos, written inquiry suggestions, and other text. So work slowly, leave time for integration. This is powerful material and it can be life-changing.